الاحتمالات في جبهتنا اللبنانية مفتوحة، وأن كل الخيارات مطروحة ويمكن أن نذهب إليها في أي وقت من الأوقات.
In the realm of geopolitics, the anticipation was palpable as viewers and strategists around the world tuned in to watch Hezbollah's Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah's Friday address. This event had the Lebanese diaspora, foreign policy experts, and those with a keen interest in that region gripped. This was their one window into shedding light on Hezbollah's stand amid the escalating Israel-Hamas conflict. The central question on everyone's mind: would Nasrallah and his Iranian backers take a step towards a wider conflict with Israel in their pursuit of resistance? On Crux Decode, why Hezbollah is not jumping into this conflict headlong. Apart from intermittent rocket attacks from time to time from southern Lebanon into northern Israel, why has Tehran sent a signal to Hezbollah not to get involved neck deep in this conflict? And how was that reflected in Hassan Nasrallah's speech? The issue before the Friday address was not just a matter of curiosity, it had very real implications for people who had vested interests in the outcome of this conflict. Some within Lebanon and some beyond were eager for Hezbollah to enter this fray even at the cost of Lebanon's stability. Others who were sympathetic to the Palestinian cause had reservations considering the challenges of living in a fragile state. And then there were those who relished watching Hezbollah navigate the pressures of Israeli military deterrence. As the speech unfolded, it became clear that it was not without its detractors. For those critical of Hezbollah, Nasrallah's words appeared to be empty posturing. It was veiled in double-speak, it concealed the organization's inherent weaknesses, or simply even reluctance to confront Israel directly from Lebanese soil. Nasrallah is a gifted orator, but he's also a master at obfuscation. He did not explicitly declare any intent to escalate the conflict against Israel.
القلق من إمكانية أن تذهب هذه الجبهة إلى تصعيد إضافي أو إلى حرب كاملة، أو القلق من أن تتدحرج هذه الجبهة إلى حرب واسعة. وهذا احتمال واقعي ويمكن أن يحصل، وعلى العدو أن يحسب له كل حساب، وهو يحسب له كل حساب. هم عبروا عن ذلك وتحدثوا عن ذلك وهو داخل.
However, there was more to his speech than met the eye. It offers a glimpse into Nasrallah's worldview and that of his supporters. So what did Hassan Nasrallah, the most feared Secretary General of Hezbollah, actually say? He began by making it clear that the October attack, on the 7th of October that is, by Hamas, was a purely Palestinian affair orchestrated entirely by Hamas.
هذه العملية العظيمة والمباركة والواسعة كان قرارها فلسطينيا 100%، وكان تنفيذها فلسطينيا 100%. قد أخفاها أصحابها عن الجميع، حتى عن فصائل المقاومة في غزة، فضلا عن بقية دول وحركات محور المقاومة.
This stand seemed to absolve Hezbollah of any immediate responsibility in the ongoing campaign. What it also did is to potentially give the group and its Iranian sponsors some elbow room to set their own agenda. Nasrallah's response to the question of Hezbollah's involvement in this conflict was straightforward. Hezbollah was already in the fight, having initiated hostilities with Israel in southern Lebanon, resulting in the loss of dozens of fighters.
بيقول السيد بده يعلن عن دخول المعركة. نحن دخلنا المعركة من 8 تشرين أول. نحن دخلنا المعركة من 8 تشرين أول.
According to Nasrallah, this deterred Israel from launching a preemptive war against Lebanon. What it also did was to prevent diversion of resources away from Gaza. It was, in his view, Hezbollah fulfilling its resistance duty. For those who wish to avoid another war in Lebanon, this revelation might have been slightly reassuring. However, alongside relief, there was a fair amount of schadenfreude and disdain directed at Hezbollah. Many, in fact, contrasted Hezbollah's customary bluster with its perceived hesitancy now to take on Israeli might. Meanwhile, Hamas might have been left disappointed by Nasrallah's show of restraint. Nasrallah also spent a significant portion of his speech placing the conflict within the broader strategic context. He called this the resistance axis and its historic narrative. He portrayed Israel as a fundamentally weak actor that is riddled with internal contradictions and limited resources. This is a theme that is consistent with his past speeches. Nasrallah even pointed to the United States and the fact that it swiftly announced support for Israel in the aftermath of the Hamas attacks. Nasrallah saw that as a sign of weakness and not as a testament to Israel's superpower status.
وهي إسرائيل أداتكم جنديكم وخادمكم وتحت وصايتكم. أنتم الأمريكيون تستطيعون أن توقفوا العدوان على غزة لأنه عدوانكم.
He went on to criticize Israel's current leadership. He called it dysfunctional, short-sighted, and further underscored his belief in the decline, the inevitable decline of Israel. Nasrallah was evidently pleased with the disorientation caused by Hamas. He also highlighted Israel's tendency to respond to provocations with maximalist positions, those positions which they then had to backtrack from. In fact, he cited the 2006 Lebanon war as an example. In that war, Israel's attempt to try and compel Hezbollah to release kidnapped soldiers through large-scale military action ended up in a prisoner swap. Unlike Hamas, Hezbollah and even their backers, Iran, have a track record of inflicting strategic setbacks on Israel, particularly in Lebanon. Nasrallah's message to Hamas was clear: focus on the immediate achievements, view the resistance as a series of discrete stages and not just the result of one war or one set of actions. Now, this perspective aligns with the broader resistance ideology that Nasrallah and his group continue to espouse. While Hassan Nasrallah and his backers may not be eager for a war in Lebanon, that doesn't necessarily signal a belief that Israel is going to have some kind of imminent victory in Gaza. They might be in a wait-and-watch mode, expecting Hamas to survive this conflict. In what form or shape Hamas might survive, that is still an open question. But the calculation seems to be, at least by Nasrallah and his organization, that Hamas will live to see another day. It may be battered, but it would be victorious in terms of resistance. Nonetheless, Nasrallah also hinted at the possibility of a war in Lebanon under certain circumstances.
القلق من إمكانية أن تذهب هذه الجبهة إلى تصعيد إضافي أو إلى حرب كاملة، أو القلق من أن تتدحرج هذه الجبهة إلى حرب واسعة. وهذا احتمال واقعي ويمكن أن يحصل، وعلى العدو أن يحسب له كل حساب.
He suggested that decisions about escalation would be contingent on how events in Gaza play out. The exact nature of these circumstances is still speculative, but the potential elimination of Hamas, which is the very objective of the Israeli military operation, according to Nasrallah and his backers, is unlikely as of now. At least that is the view from Hezbollah's prism. Whether or not that translates into what Israel manages to achieve in Gaza, that is still an open question. There is also the variable of the number of civilian casualties at the hands of Israel's sophisticated war machine. Right now, the Ministry of Health in Gaza says more than 9,000 have been killed, half of them children. But if that toll increases into the tens of thousands and pressure rises up from the Arab street, then Hassan Nasrallah and his band of terrorists will find it very difficult to contain and hold back in the face of such onslaught by the Israeli Defense Forces. Whether or not that changing sentiment will be viewed in the next few weeks before Israel decides on some kind of a next stage in its operations, that is still an open question. But one thing is very clear. Those who are expecting Hezbollah to jump in headlong into this conflict, they have been left disappointed. And the ones who are hoping that better sense would prevail, they too are a tad bit disappointed because Hezbollah, and in Nasrallah's speech, he has left this window open that is contingent to what is actually going to happen in Gaza. Right now, things are in a flux. All that we know is that Hezbollah and its chief are not going to jump into this conflict anytime soon. But that's not a position that they are rigid on, and that's not a position that they are unwilling to change depending on the circumstances of this war.